guys, today we are going to be trying out a new brand. I'm super excited about this. I saw this palette, actually, let me talk about the brand first. The brand that we are going to be trying out today, I hope I don't butcher it, but it is Bruja Beauty. I think that's how you say it. So they came out with a chakra palette. Chakra. This is going to be a long video. They came out with the Chakras palette, and this is what the palette looks like. This is the outside of the packaging, and this is the inside. I saw this palette on Instagram before it launched, and I was so excited about this, and then somehow, out of nowhere, the brand reached out to me and asked if I wanted to receive this palette in PR. So here we are. I'm so excited. I was going to buy this anyway. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. I also want to test out some of the brushes that I got sent by Alter Ego. They reached out to me and asked if I wanted to get this brush set, and I was like, you know what, I've actually seen a lot of people use these and really like them, so that's what we're going to do. So let me just show you. So this is basically just like an eye brush set. I feel like I'm going to be using some of these for my highlighter because a lot of these are kind of big, but a lot of them are also like really nice sized. So we're going to be testing out these along with this palette, so that's basically what this video is going to be about. So let's do some swatches with this palette. I'm always curious to like just feel out the shadows to see what the texture is like and all that. So I found it interesting that on their website they actually have like a description of all of the different colors. So it says that some of them are sheer, some of them are more opaque, some of them are semi-opaque. So when I'm using them, I'm probably going to look at this chart to see if I agree or if there's something that I just notice, and then to look it up to see if I'm correct or not, because usually brands don't do that. But it's nice to know that if I do use a shade that I find to be maybe a little bit sheer, that is how the shadow is actually supposed to be. So yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and get into this. I'm going to prime my eyes. I guess I'm gonna use my Smashbox primer today because when I try new palettes, I do like to make sure that I use the, you know, primer that I feel like is going to give the shadows the best chance at performing well. And I really feel like my Smashbox primer is still the primer that I go to when I try out a new palette, because I just really like how this primer performs with basically every shadow. And let me see if I can use one of these Alter Ego brushes to blend this out with, because these are going to be too big for me. So I'm going to use the number 2 brush. Let's use this one to blend out my primer with, and then I can use the largest blending brush to use for my highlighter after. Now, before we get into doing an eye look with this, I did just do the swatches that you've already seen, obviously. So I do have some thoughts, and I do want to just kind of talk about them a little bit before I get into this. So I will say straight off the bat that none of these really swatched that good. And this green seemed very, very patchy. It could also be because I swatched it over where I usually wear my watch. The shimmers are not my favorite already. They're kind of satiny. You guys know I don't like satin shimmers. But I'm curious to see how the mattes are going to perform on the eyes, because they all seem to be kind of sheer compared to what I'm used to. So I wouldn't say I have like the highest hopes going into this, but I hope that they perform better than they swatch. Let's just put it that way. Also, this palette is quite expensive. It is $35. So I do have, you know, quite high expectations for this, and I'm hoping that it's going to perform well. So let's see, what do I want to do today? I mean, I literally have every option I could ever want because it is a rainbow palette, so I feel like I can do basically whatever I want to do today. So which colors do I gravitate towards? I am tempted to use the green. I also want to use the blue and the purple, but I feel like I always do that color combination. Maybe I should try to do something different today. Maybe I'll do something kind of more like the gothic side and use some of these darker tones. I want to use maybe the red and the purple and the black. I mean, when there's a black in a palette, I just have to try it. I just have to. I don't feel like I have a choice because the color is just speaking to my heart. So let's see, how do I want to start this? I think I'm going to actually start by taking the purple and putting that in the outer crease part. And I'm going to use one of these Alter Ego brushes. This is the number 7 brush. It's kind of like a small domed brush, but it's also a little bit fluffy. So I feel like this is going to be a good place for me to start by putting down a color and really packing it on. Because from how these colors swatched, I feel like packing on and blending a little bit is going to be the best way to go. So I'm gonna start by putting this in my whole crease pretty much. So this brush is really good for packing, but I can already tell I'm not gonna like it for blending. So I'm gonna switch to another brush when I go in and blend with this. So far the color is going on my eye pretty nicely. I think I'm going to use the red to blend this out with, and I have a feeling that with the red it's going to lean a little bit more pink because that is how it's swatched. So I'm assuming we're gonna have a bit of a pink and purple crease today, but that's okay. I do wish that that color was like a true red though, but we'll see when I put it on the eye, so I'm not going to judge it until I've tried it. So this brush is really the wrong brush for this. I don't like this brush for this at all. I feel like this would be a lot better for doing an inner corner highlight or for doing the lower lash line. It's a little bit too stiff for me to put colors into my crease. You guys know how picky I am with my brushes. I feel like if you're not as set in your brush ways as I am, you would probably really, really like this brush set. Because the shapes are quite nice. It's just that I know exactly what it is that I want in a brush. And I feel like the exact shape that I want is not in this brush set. So I'm like, what do I do? What do I use? Okay, let's see. So I need something to blend this out with. I guess I'm gonna try to use this one. This is the number 1 brush. So this isn't normally what I would go for to blend something out with. I would usually go with something a little smaller and fluffier, as you guys know, but this is all I got here. So I'm gonna take the shadow called Root. This first one was called Crown. I will say I don't know a lot about chakras, so I can't really tell you if these are like what they're supposed to be, like the color wise. I just like this palette because of the color story in it. So I'm just gonna take this red and use that, like I said, to blend out the purple. The purple actually went on the eye very nicely. It took a little bit of building up, but other than that, I don't really have any complaints. I do feel like this formula is one that I'm gonna have to play with a little bit more, and that maybe one look isn't going to be enough to really get a good grasp of this, because I do need to just try it with brushes that I know that I love as well, because for me, having the right brush makes the biggest difference in my eyeshadow application. And this brush is really, really nice and soft. It's just not the shape that, you know, I would normally go for in a spot like this. And please take what I say about these brushes with a grain of salt, because the quality seems really, really nice. It's just, like I said, I don't mean this to come off as if I don't like the brushes. It's just that the shapes of the brushes and the sizes of the brushes are a little bit just too big for what I normally go for. You know what? These shadows are performing quite well. I do need to go in with a little bit more of that purple and just kind of work on the blend a little bit between these two. But I'm not seeing any kind of patchiness or anything like that, and they are sticking to my eye quite nicely. So I would say I'm more impressed by how they're performing on the eyes than I was when I swatched them out. Let's see, what do I want to do? I feel like I'm just going to do the same thing under my eye as well and kind of keep it cohesive. Obviously, as you can tell, the blend that I have going on here, it's not ideal. It's just because I'm not used to using these brushes, like I said. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing underneath my eye. I'm going to start with the purple and then blend it out with the red shade. And then we're going to go into the black and see if I can use that to really deepen up the outer corner of my eye with. See, this brush, the pencil brush, is a lot better for underneath my eye, which I kind of figured. It's just that I didn't have a brush that was small enough for my crease. So these mattes do seem quite buildable, but they are on the sheer side and they do take quite a bit of time to build up to be as vibrant as I like them to be, but they do seem to be getting there quite nicely. And I really feel like this purple is sticking to my lower lash line quite well here. So let me just go ahead and blend that out with the red that I used in my crease.
It was all a big mistake, never meant to miss the date. I was caught up with my friends, I forgot that we...
So as you can tell, this got quite winged out, but I'm not mad at it because I like a very winged out shape on myself. But I'm just gonna work on the purple a bit more and make sure that that one gets winged out as well, so that it looks a bit more complete and cohesive. And then we're gonna go in with the black, and I'm gonna use the black to deepen up the purple with. And I'm excited because I love me a good black. So let's see, do I have a brush for that? Let's try this one. This is the number 4 brush. This is more of like a flat brush, but like all of these flat brushes are kind of fluffy at the top. So I feel like this is going to work well. Again, this brush is just too big for what I would normally choose for something like that, but I'm gonna go ahead and pack that on the outer corner of my eye. This is the black shade. This one is called Obsidian. And when I swatched this one definitely seemed to be on the sheer buildable side. So I think that we're going to be able to build this up quite nicely here. So I obviously went in very hard with this because that's just what I do with black, and also this brush is just too big for me. So sometimes I go a little bit overboard if I don't use small enough brushes. So let that be a lesson to you to maybe, if you're struggling with your shadows getting a little bit out of hand and you're kind of blending them too far out and stuff, maybe try to use some brushes that are a little bit smaller, because for me it makes the world of difference. So I do have a little bit of a sharp line right in here, which is totally my own fault. So I'm just going to take the same brush that I used with the purple and just try to blend that out.
Found the champagne by the door. All my favorite things, they were there except for you. You were gone.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, if I had seen this palette in store and swatched it, there's no way I would have bought it because it just didn't swatch that good. But now having put it on the eyes and tried it, I know my blend here is not looking the absolute best, but now having tried it, like, these shadows are so pigmented and so intense and not at all what I expected. So I'm kind of blown away, if I'm being honest, because this looks really, really good. I am curious about the shimmers though, because I still feel like I'm not going to love them, not gonna lie. Because when I swatched them, they didn't really have like that much going for them. But I think what I want to do on my eye is I want to use the two blues and maybe a little bit of the orange. I think I'm gonna start by taking the shade Throat. I also could use this one called Soda Light and put that on the outer portion, but I think this is going to be dark enough to blend into the black, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I am going to put down some of my NYX glitter primer to really give these a chance to pop. And I'm going to use the number 6 brush from Alter Ego. I will say that the small flat brushes are way more up my alley because these are really, really, really nice for like detail lid work. This one might be a little bit too big for my lid, could definitely use that under my eyes, but these two look great. This is the 6 brush and this is the number 8 brush. So like I said, I'm going to take my number 6 brush and I'm first going to put down my glitter primer. I'm just going to put that all over my lid here in a bit of a cut crease. And then I'm first going to dip into that blue shade and I'm going to put that basically in the middle of my lid as well as blend it into that black. So I have no idea where my camera shut off. I hope you saw me start applying this, but like I was saying, this blue is nice, the color is nice, but the formula is nothing to write home about. I mean, it's a very basic shimmer at best. I don't even know if I would really call it a shimmer. It doesn't really have a lot of dimension going to it. It's quite flat, but it does have a little bit of a sheen to it, but that's basically it. But like I said, it's a very, very pretty color. If you're someone who don't like very intense shimmers and sometimes maybe you will use one color to blend into your crease, you would probably like these because I feel like these would probably blend out very nicely if you're the kind of person who do like to do those kind of looks. I do think that I'm going to be very happy with this look when it's all said and done because the colors are very nice and vibrant. Oh, and I also really, really like this brush. This brush is awesome for putting shadows on the lid. Just working on the blend between the blue and the black here to make sure that it's looking nice. And then I'm gonna flip my brush to the other side of this and I'm going to use that to pick up the shade Turquoise. I think that's what I want to use. Do I want to use a little bit of the orange? I'm not really sure yet. I'm gonna take the shade right here, which is beautiful. And I'm going to put that in the inner portion of my lid here. Again, seems like the same kind of formula. It's not really doing a whole lot for me except for just being a pretty color. And then I think to finish off, I'm gonna take a little bit of orange calcite. Is that how you say that? Calcite? I'm not sure I know what that means. I'm not sure I know what that means. I don't know what that means. Who am I kidding? I'm gonna take a little bit of this in the inner corner of my eye and just kind of wrap that down to my lower lash line. And for that, I'm going to use the smallest of the Alter Ego brushes here. This is the number 8. I'm gonna just give that a spritz of some Fix Plus here and just pop that in the very inner corner as well as blend it into that blue. Don't want to blend these together too much because I do feel like they're going to get maybe a little bit muddy, especially since these are more on the satiny side. I find that the shimmery a shadow is, the easier it is to blend it into a maybe complementary color other shimmer, but if they're leaning more on the matte side without too much shimmer in it, it definitely gets muddy a little bit easier. I might even go in with some kind of a topper over the top of this, just to show you what I mean about wanting a little bit more out of my shadows. And it does say on their website that this shadow is a little bit on the sheer side, which I can definitely tell that by putting it on, because I do have to build it up quite a bit here. So before we do anything else with this, I'm going to go back in with the color purple that I used in my crease and just kind of finesse this a little bit, make sure that my crease is looking nice. So the more I'm using this brush, the more I quite like it. It's not like the ideal blending brush, but it is a very good size, and I feel like it definitely gets the job done here. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of this topper shade from Shine by SD. This is the Reserve number 2, and I'm gonna pop that in my inner corner just so we can get a little bit of oomph, because I just feel like this look needs a little bit of extra something. So I'm first going to put down a little bit of my NYX glitter primer here, because I just like to do that with these shadows because they are quite glittery and they can have quite a bit of fallout. So I just want to make sure that they actually stick to my eye here during the day. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of the shadow on the same brush and just kind of tap that over where I put down that orange, just to lighten it up a little bit.
But you're gone. Now I'm here all alone, and I really wish you'd just pick up your phone.
Like, I don't want to cover up this whole look, so I'm gonna leave the rest of it the way it is. I'm gonna take a little bit more of that blue that I used in the middle of my lid and just make sure that I blend these two together here. Okay, so I think this is where I'm going to leave it for the eyes. I mean, this looks very good still. I feel like I still need to do a little bit of blending just on the outer corner here, but I'm gonna finish off the eyes and then I'll come back and we can do the rest of the face together. Okay, so the eyes are done, and my waterline, I used a little bit of this eyeliner from Lethal. This is in the shade Analog, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do some freckles because I totally forgot about that. I'm gonna use my freckle pen from Lime Crime. This is in the shade Amber. And I'm just gonna kind of go ham with this. I realized that I prefer to do my freckles after I've powdered, because I find that otherwise I just get so much foundation on like the tip of this pen that it almost kind of clogs it. So I find it to be a little bit easier to keep this clean after I've powdered my face. And I also definitely prefer to do the freckles before I do my blush and stuff, because it looks better, I find, when I layer products on top of my freckles. So let's go ahead and do some blush. I know I have a little mascara smudge on the side of my nose if you see that. I'm just kind of waiting for that to dry. I'm gonna use a blush from Ulta. This one is in the shade Sweet Peach. I really like the color of this. It's such a nice kind of mauve-y blush, and I don't really have any other colors like this in my collection. So as usual, I'm gonna be pretty heavy-handed with this because I do like me a lot of blush. So also, let me know what you think of my new background. I just realized that I didn't even mention that because I'm so used to just swapping out my backdrops all the time. This is actually like supposed to look like diamonds. I don't know if it really does look like diamonds, and if it does, it's probably like the most beauty guru thing ever. But I kind of like that it's a little bit cheesy. I don't know, I just think it looks kind of cool. The purple in the background is the lighting that I have, so I can change out the lighting. Let me show you. So I have this little remote here. I know I've showed you in other videos, but I can basically like choose whatever I want the background color to be. So that looks really cool. Maybe I should use that someday. But I think I'm gonna keep it to, what did I have it on? That one. I think that kind of matches my eye look and like the vibe that we have going on today. I need to do a little bit of highlight. Let's see, what do I want to use? Let's use my Kaleidos one. I don't even know if I've used this on my face yet. This is the Moon Cruiser. So I'm pretty sure this is more of like a lavender kind of highlighter. I don't even know if this is going to go with the look. Let me use another one of the Alter Ego brushes. So I'm gonna take the number 3 brush. This is definitely an eyeshadow brush, but this is like the perfect size for me to use with a highlighter. So let's see what this highlighter looks like. I don't think this is going to go with the look at all. I feel like it's going to be a little bit too purpley. Maybe I should have gone with a blue one, but I mean, that still looks kind of cool though. Yeah, it definitely doesn't go with the look at all, but what can you do, right? Sometimes you try something and it doesn't really work out, but it's still very pretty on its own. And I also really like this brush is a highlighting brush. And I feel like that's what's going to end up happening with all of the blending brushes from this set, is they're just going to end up being like miscellaneous use for whatever I need a brush for. If I need a highlighting brush or if I need a brush to blend out my eyeshadow primer, I feel like that's probably what I'm going to be using these brushes for. A lot of the smaller ones, like I said, like the lid brushes are very, very nice. And I really like the Alter Ego quality for really everything they come out with. I really like their eyeshadows. I feel like the quality of these brushes are really nice. I do have a code with Alter Ego. I will have it on the screen if you're interested in buying anything from them. As for the palette, let me put on some lipstick. I'm gonna use Flat Out Fabulous by MAC because I just feel like that's gonna go perfectly with this look. Okay, this is the look all done. I think it turned out beautiful. I'm obsessed with this look. I think it looks so pretty. As for like the quality of the palette, I think the mattes are nice, at least from what I tried. I do feel like I need to test this out a little bit more. Let me know if you want me to do more looks with this. I can definitely do so. I am very inspired by the color story, even though it is a pretty basic rainbow palette, but I do really enjoy a good rainbow palette, especially one that has very dark, deep matte shades. So I'll probably do another 2 looks with this. I don't know if I'm gonna do 3, but I'm gonna try to pull this into another video and do another look with this because I am curious to just test this out, and I just feel like I don't have a good grasp on the formula of this yet. So yeah, I would say for now, I don't like the shimmers at all. The mattes seemed very, very nice. So I am excited to play more with this. I probably will pull in some more topper shades and stuff in my next video, but yeah, that's gonna be it for me trying out Bruja Beauty. If you want to see some other first impression videos that I have on my channel, here's my playlist, and if you're new, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.